There's a lot of unrecorded and recorded music, and I'm trying to figure out how do I get it to other artists, into movies and commercials and things of that sort.
One of the things I suggested before is to go to film festivals. Yes, they are $300 if you want to register for the classes and the seminars, but there are a host of folks who sit outside the door, and they'll have the seminar going on right here, and they'll have all of their information from headshots to their material. And what they do is stop folks as they're coming out the door. And they'll have Teddy Riley on the panel discussion, but guess what? He's got to walk outside that room. And so you can stop Teddy Riley and ask him questions of how you got started, or can you give me a contact? And a lot of times when people, the folks who come to these film festivals, music festivals, conferences, they are like you. They are learning, they are receiving information. They want to find the next artist. They want to make sure that they're tapped into the game. And so one of the things that I would suggest is, if you're trying to get into that industry, get your music played into films, is to start finding the independent film companies, to go online and see who's making these movies and see which film festivals they show up at. And a lot of times, these black film festivals, it's a low interest fee. You can volunteer, as we talked about.
If you got to pay their student rates, but volunteering is definitely, yeah.
The question I have, it deals with the licensing and the jingle question. Considering the economic downturn of the industry right now, it's really difficult for new artists to get on the scene because, as Raj stated, you kind of have to be a surefire thing based upon numbers and statistics. If you reach out to a company to do an endorsement deal, if you will, you have more creativity as far as like placing the company's name in it, if that makes any sense to you. So what's the status and the climate of artists reaching out to like major companies, as far as branding is concerned, to possibly generate capital, for your own campaign as an artist? That make sense?
Creativity is what I'm going to say. But if you got a record, or you got a campaign that you want to do, maybe you want to engage with somebody and try to do a campaign around it. How about doing a campaign for Tasty Donuts, or for Bone Ford, or for some insurance company, or for the bail bond company, and maybe they'll use your campaign as part of a radio commercial. There are lots of ways to engage with people. I just went to a restaurant this morning. It's called Lil Dizzy, and I thought, what kind of restaurant is that? When I got there, I saw Dizzy Gillespie. I said, oh wow. It had a whole new meaning for me. But, I'm so removed from Dizzy Gillespie, I thought Dizzy, like, somebody's just out of their head. But when I got there, all of a sudden, the heritage of that, and the culture of that, and the profundity of this man who was the equal to a Quincy Jones or Herbie Hancock or Miles Davis, I'm like, wow, what a name for a restaurant.
Kwame would be a very good person for you to take an artist that you are working with, and maybe locally, Kwame's going to be doing a workshop or something for his film festival, or his film foundation. Well, you might go to Kwame and say, we'll create a radio spot for you.
Kwame, this is very interesting because we've gone through quite a few music things. What do you identify as being some of the opportunities that exist in New Orleans as it relates to music and film?
Well, I guess I could answer the question similar to this, that I started off as an attorney, basically practicing contracts law, doing tax. I have an economics degree from Southern University, then I went to law school. And I started off from the business side, basically helping people start their business, protect their business. But as the internet began to really take off, there became a whole new side of business, which we call intellectual property. And that is basically the creative entity of which comes from people, and the ability to protect that entity and to be able to make a living off it, get paid for someone's use of it. So that can be a lot of different things. That can be your music, that can be images, that can be how you think of things and how things are processed and branded, ideas that are put on paper and then used to market a particular entity. Could be the signing, could be the name. It's interesting that I used to be the state director for the NAACP in Louisiana, and the president of the NAACP at the time came from a former executive from Verizon, and he created the whole idea of Verizon, the whole idea of the V, and the concept of looking at the horizon but putting a V on it as Verizon. And so that's what you would call intellectual property. So one of the things that I began to start seeing is all kinds of young brothers come into my office who are saying, I have this idea, or I have this concept, I have this dance, I have this song, or I have this film I want to do, that, or a video that's coming. How do I protect it? I would also just real quick suggest that if you have a particular brand that you want to create a jingle for, then a lot of times you need to be where the brand is going to have placement at. So for instance, if it is, if you want to have something that, let's say a film festival, whether it be Urban Film Festival or it be American Black Film Festival, New Orleans Black Film Festival, they will send the vice president of marketing or branding, and we will have contact with them. And then so you see Cavassier, as a sponsor, then you want to find out who is the person I need to speak to in marketing that can help me. And a lot of times it's just a phone call away. But what you got to do is connect the dots, and you want to put yourself in a place where you can meet those folks.
My question is this, just out of curiosity. All of y'all have eyes and ears for talent, right? Okay, so if you get an artist who come at you with a hot single and it's before they start bubbling in the streets, what would you do at that point?
Well, when it comes to music, the people decide. I mean, there's a lot of hot music that none of us have heard because, there's just so much music out there. So it could be hot. What we would probably do, I mean, if it was something and we thought it was hot, is probably get it to a couple of tastemakers. Probably send it to Raj here or something and say, what do you think about this? And if he said, man, it's kind of hot, I'll spin it. It's a process. So if he says it's kind of hot and spin it, and you send it to a couple of other people around the country, and if they say it's hot and they spin it, I mean, or, just the way the industry is now, just trying to get something going. I mean, your music got to be super hot in order to even take that process. Because the main thing is, it's the people decide.
Money. It's like, how do you, if there's no revenue coming back towards the artist who's trying to build a career in a grassroots style, basically how do you finance, like, how do you build like a financial situation for yourself? Like, how do you build a team? Like, I mean, like, does an independent able artist, does he need like a publicist? You know what I mean? Like, how do you build that around you? How do you begin to do that financially?
Howard University has their own record label. They have created their own label, and they put a compilation together of the people on their campus that are talented. That's what they did. They joined forces. I think Barbara told you about building your team.
Tell me what compilation people do other than make the record. The roles they play.
Yeah, the compilation team, and it's a team.
They're artists.
They're all artists. All of them are, except one young man who kind of a little marketing guru guy. He's like a little businessman. Each artist is responsible themselves of doing so much legwork to get the word out, to pass out the flyers, to be able to sell tickets to a showcase. Let's say they were to perform at Howard, there was going to be a showcase and the tickets were $4. Each person in the showcase on the compilation that's on the record label, each of them had to sell tickets. Each of them had to go out and have 500 flyers to promote at Morgan State. They themselves created their own record company and their own team.
But there's a tremendous number of opportunities. Network, make sure you guys connect with people like the members of our panel.
Then you can volunteer at film festivals.
Film festivals, you guys can all work at as volunteers.
Right.
It takes a large crew to put a festival together.
Yes.
And so just know, you don't have to have $3 or $4. And it goes back to your internship thing. Volunteer to be able to be his right-hand guy. You may be picking up water, you may be going to the cleaners, you may be doing all of that, but you will be in the room with Kwame and the people. So it's just to volunteer for film festivals, just that simple.